Hello, everyone. My name is Rob Phillips. I've been working on an app for some time, and if you look at my LinkedIn page and my YouTube channel, you see the progress. In other words, I started some time ago, back in 2022. I think I did a video that sort of talked about how I thought this whole thing would work. And so I'm at the point now where I'm ready to demonstrate the app in full um, with what typically I would call an MVP or minimum viable product. And so what we're left with is a fully functioning app that sort of fulfills all the requirements that I had previously in those videos. And if you were to go back and look, you'll see some of the progression and some of the application as I was building it. So now I'm ready to demonstrate it and give everyone some idea of how this thing works. So anyway, um, I've been uh, uh, I've been in the technology industry for a very long time, and I just saw a need, particularly um, with the way our identity is being used. It's being used to provide a business model for all kinds of different things. And I personally find that when you own your identity, you own your agency. So here we are. I'd like to start by demonstrating, well, I guess first off, I will show you, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to just show you my YouTube channel. And if you would, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to be posting videos in many cases on, identity, public DAOs, all kinds of different things. So, and then when you watch my videos, give them a like. I am right now very limited in my subscribers, so perhaps you could help with that. So, my YouTube channel, and if you want to look up my LinkedIn page, you can see Robert Phillips, Grokism Identity Solutions for the 21st Century. Now it says grokism.com. I'm actually going to change that here very soon. I'm going to go to grokism.io, but for now it's up and running. But with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and start the demonstration of the app. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I hope you guys can see it. So essentially what we have here is bookends.io. So bookends.io is the public-facing web page for the beginning of the app. And what it is really going to do is it's, well, I say personal agency and secure identity for the 21st century. And when I say that, I really mean it. And so ultimately what it is, it's going to be this separation of the organization layer versus the personal layer. You'll see how that works here in a little bit. So demonstration starts with, I'm going to register a new org name. And at this layer, I do use Google OAuth. And because this is probably one of the limitations, is that by using Google OAuth, you have to have for you to actually register a new organization, you actually have to have a Google email, and it could be, in this particular case, it's a Google Workspaces email that for Grokism LLC. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. So I'm going to register a new org name, and I call it Decent Vote. And I'm gonna register an initial perm set, and I'll talk about what perm sets are later, but essentially they're ways to give for an organization to give permissions to an individual user without passing down, individual user information to the application. So in this particular case, this is myself. So, and I'm going to call myself Rob and the organization layer, the organization user. And what happens is when I register a new organization and the organization user is the first one you put in here, what it's doing is it's giving Rob the initial admin rights to the application. So I'm going to go ahead and register. So what it's done is it's added the organization to the application. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in or user log in. Again, I'm logging in as the administrator. Okay, now I'm going to put the organization name here, which is Decent Vote. And the organization user is Rob because that's what I created. So again, this is the admin organization user. So I'm going to log in. So I'm presented with the page here. And it seems a little, complicated at first. I have been issued the initial user. I'm issued these things called the tenant admin role and the issuer role. The issuer role is the default admin, the default role that you're given when you're the first org user in the thing. So this whole application is sort of built around these things called bookends. And so right now I have no bookends. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got a perm set here. I'm going to go ahead and create an org bookend. So what a bookend is a way for you, a way for an organization or company to vet an individual in such a way that you're comfortable giving them these permission sets. It means then that you've actually vetted them, that they're human. You vetted them that they have these permissions. You're giving them this ability to interact with your app as you create it on the backside. So in this particular case, Robert, oops, I'm going to use exactly the same information. And here I am going to add, because this is a personal email. So in other words, what I'm doing is I'm separating this bookend from the organization by giving it a personal email. But ultimately, we don't even use emails as we go through this whole thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and add an address, and then I'm going to select a bookend or a perm set. So create perm set or create bookend. So now I should see that bookend up there, which I do. So now what I need to do is I need to send an invite to a bookend. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I select the bookend, Robert. As you can see, the perm set is listed there, and I'm going to invite the bookend. So what it did was it sent an email to this rxp6810@gmail.com. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what that email looks like. And I'm going to show you what the rest of the app. So I'm going to stop sharing there, and I'm going to share my email here, which is right here. Share that. And make sure you see that when you don't. Why it didn't do that, I don't know. Stop sharing. There. I'll share this again. Let's see what we got here. Okay, there it is. So I think you can see this email now. So you've been invited to join the organization Decent Vote with the following permission sets: PS 321300001. And I'll explain what these permission sets are in a little bit. Register here. So you click on the register here button. What that does is it brings you to this other site called register.bookends.io. Now here what you have to do is you have to register with your bookend. So I'm going to go ahead and register the bookend. So the email that the bookend has is rxp6810@gmail.com, and the organization name in this case is Decent Vote. Okay. So what it's going to do is it's going to do some stuff on the backside, and it's going to essentially create an organization token or a registration token, and then you'll see what happens. So I'm going to request invitation. So invitation created, please check your email. So I go back here to the email, and as you can see, I've received another email. So this is a registration token. And when you click on this, it brings us to the complete your registration. So here's one of the important parts. So the username is basically just a handle. It doesn't, there's no real relation to the email address at all. This is something that you are creating at this point, and this username and password that you're creating represents you as a personal person, right? So there's no relation between the organization and you. And you'll see how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and just create I'm going to create a new user, a username. I'm just going to say raw ph 6812. I'm going to create a password. I'm going to write that down just so I remember it. ph 6812. Okay. I'm going to just create a password. Okay, I'm going to complete my registration. All right, user registered successfully. You will be directed to the login page shortly. Okay. So I'm gonna close that out. Let's do this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go to decentvote.io, which is the demonstration app that I've actually sort of set up, right? So there's no relation with the emails. There's no relation with anything. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. So I'm going to log in and I'm going to put in that BPH 6812. I'm going to set my password. Well, I'm going to use the password I created. I'm just going to continue. And I'm going to accept this. It is requesting access to your account. Accept it. Okay. So now what you see here is it's logged me in. It's given me a token, which you don't see from this perspective. And it's given me access to one permission set. Okay. Now that permission set doesn't do much, but it shows that now we're in a position where permission sets, and the only thing that's being passed down to the app are the permission sets, right? So there's nothing else about the organization. The organization simply gives you a permission set to do whatever it does on the app. But as you can see, there's no additional functionality here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some perm sets. And one of those perm sets is going to give me permission to do something else in this app. So I'm going to log out here. And I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share, go back to sharing my, sharing this website. Okay, so I hope you can see that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some additional perm sets. If you think about the context of what these particular permission sets mean, so I'm going to add a bunch of perm sets, but only one of them is really going to provide any additional value for our application here for the decent vote application. So I'm going to go ahead and add a perm set. I'm going to call it PS underscore 3213 002 test perm set. I'm going to add the perm set. I'm going to add a perm set. So PS underscore 3213 0011 test perm set. Perm set. Add the perm set. I'm going to add a couple more perm sets. Add more perm sets. So I'm going to add this one. Now this is a special one because it adds permission to do something, to use something called the Google Civic API. So in a PS, and this is a to use Civic Information API. Add perm set. Okay, I'm going to add another one just for good measure. So the perm sets all have to have the form. Now I have arbitrarily decided that 3213 stands for decent vote. So all of the perm sets that decent vote actually gives, and again, this is arbitrary and this is just test data. This can change, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to build out rich permission sets for different organizations and such. But for now, 3213 represents uh, decent vote. So now, if I list the org book in, you'll see that I do not have, um, I do not have, uh, the any of those permission sets here, right? So what I have to do is I have to add those permission sets to my bookend, and then they eventually go to this thing called the book user on the backside. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the permission sets in the bookend. So I'm going to add up all of these bookends, all of these permission sets. And I'm going to choose the bookend. In this particular case, it's me. At that gmail.com. I'm going to update the perm sets. Perm sets updated successfully. So now if I go back to the dashboard and I list the perm sets, they're there. You can see them, right? But they haven't been added. So now if I were to log into Decent Vote, again, I still would not see those perm sets. So there's one other step I have to do. So essentially, I mean, I can communicate with the bookend. So I'm going to send another email to the bookend. In this particular case, I'm going to send it to that bookend. New perm sets and now I should be able to work from there. So I'm going to stop sharing again. And I'm going to go over here and share the screen again. And I'm going to share this thing right here. Well, let's go back. Let's look at email. The email is nothing. It just says new perm sets. And then it directs me to register.bookends.io, which is right there. So now I already have a bookend. And so essentially what I have to do is I have to log in to continue. So, excuse me. So log in to continue. I log in with my user and password. So ROBPH6812 and password. Continue. Accept that. All right. So now essentially when I do this, when I put the RXP6810 email in there and go search your bookends, it's going to give me an error occurred and I got to fix that. I don't know why that is. So what happened was it added your perm sets to the you'll see when we log in. So I'm just going to go ahead and log out because it's got a token right now. And I don't need it to have, so you should probably log out because that's all it does is do the token. So I can get away from this now and I can go to decentvote.io. So here's the kicker. So remember the last time we logged into this, we did not see some of the functionality. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. I'm going to see raw pH 6812. Continue. All right. So as you can see, it lists that those other perm sets. I'm going to zoom that in a little bit. So it lists those other perm sets, but it also gave me access to this thing called the Use the Civic Info API. And the specific perm set that the code demands before it enables this particular functionality is this perm set underscore 3213010. So it's, what it does is it checks for the existence of that perm set and then goes into some code when it sees that this perm set is in existence when you own it. Now, here you can click on the Civic Information API and you can enter an address. Um, uh, and then this is an address in Minnesota. And then if I hit the search button, it returns information about the congressional district. So in other words, where I'm sitting right now is in Itasca County, Minnesota, Minnesota's 8th congressional district, Minnesota State House District 7A, and Minnesota State Senate District 7, right? So the main point wasn't this specific information. The main point was by sending and enabling this particular perm set, I have basically given this user that logged in a permission to use this Civic Info API. And there's a whole bunch of things that can be enabled. I'm thinking of particularly, I call this thing decentvote.io because you can add a lot of functionality to this to basically give permissions to vote at a certain time in a certain place. And then you can fully online and fully secure, fully following the rules of any sort of voting sort of scenario, you can vote and your vote will be registered on a blockchain, right? So it'll use zero knowledge proofs and smart contracts and on a blockchain. And a blockchain that I'm becoming very familiar with is called Midnight. And I don't know, it's a fantastic thing. But before I could start to use and write those smart contracts and use those circuits, I had to develop what I'm calling a Web 2 sort of functionality. So this is all Web 2 stuff, right? And we'll get into the Web 3 stuff as we actually register things in a blockchain. But for now, this does some amazing things simply by the existence of that perm set. So if you think of perm sets like an ACL, essentially and ACLs typically, though, are something that exists within a company and that you give them, you create the permissions on whatever specific files, read, write, execute, do all kinds of stuff on a set of files or a directory or something like this. Well, this is sort of using the same sort of concept. And so the code is executing on the existence of one of these perm sets and then giving that particular user additional functionality, additional, things to do within the app. And so, to make a long story short, that's pretty much it. So if you're interested in hearing more, look me up at just drop me a line at robert@grokism.com. So grokism.com. As I go through a little bit more, I'm going to be changing lots of things with my website and all kinds of different things. So for now, that's about it. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.